It says we're live, but I am giving it a few seconds to load and let my stream catch up. If you have questions, drop them in the chat now, but you can only do that if you are a sub. So smash the like and sub to the channel and download everything else that I, have been suggesting for a while. See, I'm actually right here the whole time. That wasn't a pre-recorded audio thing. Anyway, what's going on? Decided I had some free time this afternoon. The start of golf is happening, although it's not the most prestigious tournament in the world. I do like to talk about golf. I like to talk about golf with you, the good peoples out there. And where I did the DraftKings show, hell, I recorded it with James on Monday evening this week. That, my thoughts have changed a little bit. I usually put that in the newsletter as we go forward. But this is what I'm up to today for this. Chatting with you. You guys ask me anything. NFL, PGA, it's the challenge someone asked me about a little bit earlier. I'm here for you, the good people, to keep me busy. Because I went on a new strict diet, and I'm into day 3 of that, and I need to start, working more and making sure that my mind goes elsewhere. Because day 3 and day 4 of any diet or any sort of change, whether it was quitting smoking, whether it was exercising for people who don't do that very often, days 3, 4, and 5 are the toughest ones to get through. 1 and 2, you're pumped to be able to do it. You start feeling good. Then you're just like, man, I'm hungry. What am I going to do? Well, the answer is drink a lot of water, as it turns out. Drink some coffee and work as much as possible. Because when I'm working, at least, I don't snack. I snack when I got nothing to do and sit around watching TV. So if I'm on camera, I can't be doing that. Although Cuss eats into the microphone. It's horrifying, but that's where we're at. Anyway, here's what I got going on for the Sentry Tournament of Champions. I put this all in the newsletter, Mayo Media newsletter on Substack. Free to join down in there. Obviously, the one and done. I'm going to be giving out a free one and done entry on this show. How am I going to do that, you ask? I do not know. Maybe the person with the best question, maybe the person with the best comment in the chat. You have to be subbed to the channel in order to do that, obviously, but I'll figure it out. You can get into a draw by subbing to Apple and Spotify for the Pat Mayo Experience podcast, the audio one, leaving a 5-star review and turning on those auto downloads. All the ways to do that are in the Mayo Media newsletter. Again, it's always free, and I think I'm going to start doing my full columns, not on DraftKings Network, because my contract's coming to an end very soon, and I might as well relocate people to where I need them to go to. So the newsletter is probably where you're going to see my long-form writing so far this year. Not saying I'm not doing columns there. I'm still doing those ones. I'm still doing the ones at Golf Digest, but I think the meat and potatoes of, research methods, different angles that I'm looking at, the full write-ups on everyone. You can see I got my bets in here. I ended up betting Morikawa at 15, Finau at 30, List at 90 with 5 places, and Kitayama at 5 places. I think I really liked Finau at the beginning of the week. There's also a Finau future on Bet365. Mexico Open, it's down to 16-1 right now if you're looking for that, but that's where it is. It's at Bet365. I think Bovada or Bodog might have that similar market, but I do not know what the odds are going to be. I really liked Finau as a pivot play, a sneaky play earlier on in the week, but it does seem like a lot of people have jumped on to Tony Finau at the moment, whether it be DraftKings, whether it be betting, top 10 market. I still think that he's a big fade for other people as well. I just don't know DraftKings-wise how elevated he can get in terms of ownership just because of that price range where, it's affordable to pay up and pay down. Like, would you rather have, Morikawa or Finau? You'd rather have Morikawa, and that's the difference between, Nick Taylor and Luke List. I think people would trade off the List for Morikawa for Taylor and Finau. So, just thinking through it that way when people are constructing lineups, that fewer people are going to do it that way. Still like Finau enough. Listen, I could cash out my bet. I'm not going to do that. But the ones that took the hard pass, once I bet Morikawa, that put Homa off the board for me, although I like Homa at the top end. It was just Tom Kim. Tom Kim was the other one. I feel like I'm going to regret that one. And Adam had one at the back end the more I went through everything. I actually wrote about this in the newsletter. I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but it was about comp courses and just different guys who have played really well at this tournament over the years. I took the screen grab from Fantasy National, fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get yourself that 20% off. You can see I got it up over here already. Actually, I can do this in real time to kind of show you how to do it. It sucks that Rory got stuck in there. Just we have to see him every time that we tune in. We'll sort by past 12 rounds, make it easy on ourselves, and go to the Detroit Country Club. I don't know why, because I've always talked about, like Augusta National because of the layout, or some of the proximity range and uneven lies, the same as TPC Deer Run, and you get different players at that field field that obviously you wouldn't see pop up at the Masters all of the time. But this was one just when I started looking at all the names who have done well at Kapalua, I'd be like, well, who are the guys that actually play in Detroit? Now, is this a product of Morikawa, Cantlay, Cam Young, Wyndham Clark, Tyrrell Hatton? We talk about strokes gained on average at Detroit Country Club. Is it because that those guys are actually the best players in that field? Therefore, the best players in the field are just going to do really well at these tournaments? That is most definitely a part of this. So it could mean absolutely nothing. But I thought that Taylor Moore ended up becoming really interesting. As you can see, I added him to my player pool. I ended up making 50 lineups this week, 49, 50, whatever it might be. Whatever I made on the show with James, I entered. I think I entered another one, and then boom. The Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Listeners League is still open. I need to get that filled. There's 400 spots left. Link is down in the description right now. But you can kind of see, just, these are guys that have played really well at Kapalua. Morikawa, Cantlay, especially Cam Young was pretty good in his debut. Obviously, we've never seen Taylor Moore before, so that's why I'm going to take the chance on him this week. But even someone, and ditto with Wyndham Clark, we've never seen him, so you can take a chance on him, and no one is using him this week. Cam Davis, has one start at Kapalua, came T11. I mean, that's not super impressive because it was probably a field of like 30 players, but still, he finished in the top third of those players, someone who's played pretty well here. And even over the years, Finau has 2 top 10s and 4 starts at this event. Fowler's played it really well. Tom Kim was 5th in his debut. Homo was 3rd last year. These are all the guys up near the top. So it could be an absolute nothing burger, but it was just something that I thought I'd share that it piqued my attention. That is what the newsletter column is going to be for. Maybe if I start doing some of these streams, if I have the time to do it all, that this would be something fun to do, is go through things like this. Retweet the show around, by the way, and the more you can leave comments and smash the like, you can only ask questions if you're subbed to the channel. All that stuff makes it more discoverable. And I believe that Tambo and James, I think, are doing well. James for sure is doing a show tonight at, what the hell did he tell me that it was? It was 8 p.m. Eastern. I can go look this up right now. Let's see. 8 p.m. Eastern over on the Degenerate 75 channel. I know that he and Tambo are doing a show together, and Tambo is running a one-and-done entry giveaway as well over at shipitnation.com. He has a few. He has like 3 separate ones that are going on, but I do know that if you use code Mayo over at Ship It Nation, and he and Hoop just released these like strategy guides, like they're like in-depth, like here's how you play DraftKings golf or DFS golf. Here's the strategy behind it. Here's what you should be looking for. There's no picks involved with it, but it's like a course on how to become a better player. I do know that Code Mayo will get you 10% off just because they have a PGA standalone product now. But additionally, Code Mayo will get you into a draw if you sign up with that. So anyway, just check out Tambo. He's coming on next, I believe, talking NBA. And I think he's talking golf tonight with James over on the Degenerate 75 channel. So we're all working together with this one. And again, you can always just build your lineups on fantasynational.com. Let's get to some of these questions, though. Do you like Kirk for a GPP play? Approach play, Bermuda putting seems to be his profile. Thanks for the shows. I do like him a little bit. Here's the problem with Kirk, that he's another one who just kind of popped up on this Detroit thing. He's played 12 rounds there. He's averaging almost 2 strokes against the field. And maybe a new year's a new thing. Listen, he's always played well at Sony in Hawaii. That's been a thing. Nothing like great. He only played twice. Maybe he got it back a little bit, but towards the second half of the year, and granted, maybe Bermuda was the split that we should have been looking at. He's generally a better bent putter than a Bermuda putter. Obviously very good with wedges. He won on Bermuda at PGA National last year, but the putting was hot fire for like a year, and it's kind of went the other way. Not to say that it can't spike again. We saw it at John Deere, but that's basically been it. It's all been in the negatives. And unless he just gets unconscious, if he's just going to be a break even slightly below average, this is kind of the way that I would think about it. Like Luke List is someone that I'm on this week. Deeper odds, obviously, and a better DraftKings price, and he's going to be more popular now, so maybe you don't want to play him. But what is the upside for Chris Kirk? He's going to have to putt. If he doesn't putt, he's cooked because his irons aren't good enough to lead this field. Maybe he gets lucky, and maybe some weeks he does, but they're not going to be significantly better than Morikawa or Cantlay or Homa or Tom Kim or Spieth or Scheffler, whoever it is. He's not going to lap those guys in the field, or most likely his path to win this event is gaining 12 strokes putting. And he'd probably have to match that with like 8 strokes on approach because the driving's never going to be there. Maybe he has a lucky chipping week, whatever. But he's not going to necessarily be top 3. Maybe he could be top 10 in the field in approach. Then he'd have to lead in putting. With someone like List, when you look at it, like you can almost pencil him in to be top 5 in the field in driving. Like that is a baseline for him. That's how good he is going to be. That if he can be around even in putting, well, we know that his approach can spike the same as Chris Kirk. We know that the chipping can be as good as Chris Kirk, probably even better. And the putting, from what we've seen from Luke List lately, is that if he breaks even or gains just a little bit, he doesn't need to lead everyone in approach to match it up with hot putting. He could lead everyone in approach, have a decent putting week, but because his off the tee is so strong, when we start cobbling together all the strokes gained and think about how this tournament can work, then all of a sudden Luke List ends up becoming a better play. So anyway, that's why I'm fading Chris Kirk. I'm wrong all the fucking time, so don't take my word for it. If you want to play Chris Kirk, go for it. But that's why I would not play him. We needed Pat to gloat about the state of the union post-Canada losing the World Juniors, his favorite day of the year. I am so unplugged from hockey at this point, basically since I stopped working at Fantasy, which will be, it's funny because Fantasy Channel launched, I just saw like a reminder come up. We were working really hard on the studio like this day 10 years ago. Came back early from the New Year's vacation, whatever it was, in order to come back and get the sets working, get the cameras working. We launched in March 3rd of 2014, so it'll be 10 years ago. There's a picture of like me, Gabe, and Laura Dyken, because we all did the first show. I think Erdman's there as well. We all did the first show together. I legitimately look like I'm 19 years old. I am so fucking skinny, and I'm sitting next to Gabe. Gabe looks exactly the same. It is mind-boggling. But here we are, almost 10 years later, all the four of us off doing our own things. But I think Laura was actually on the morning broadcast for the World Juniors. I just love when they lose. Like the World Juniors were here in Halifax last year. Like that was exciting. I didn't care, but the city was kind of alive when it was here. I just don't understand why people like kids hockey so much. It's really weird. And my first cousin was on the team last year, and then he got he made the team, and then he got hurt, and then now he's playing with like Laval in the AHL under a rookie deal for the Canadians. So that's like exciting. That's gotten me back into it a little bit more. So I was following it because of him. He got his gold medal during like the weird COVID one that was held in like August. Then he was supposed to be on the team again, but got hurt before he could play any of the games when they played like the AUS men's all-star team. So when you're like 18 and playing a bunch of 30-year-olds, 30-year-olds are going to kick your ass. Make no mistake about it. My favorite single part of it, though, is when they get bounced, TSN doesn't know what to do because, frankly, no one's tuning in to go see Finland versus Sweden. Anyway, Canadian fans don't give a fuck. The only people who care about this tournament in the world are Canadians, and it's like a real thing here. Like, you start seeing World Junior commercials in, like, October. And like the entire Christmas programming of TSN, the ESPN of Canada, is built around this tournament. They own all the rights. They put on a really good job. They dedicate the resources to it. And it's one of their big money makers. But like they don't know what to do once Canada is out. And Canada lost in the quarterfinals, so they're not even playing in the semis. So those are going to be terribly rated. So I guess if you're an advertiser, you go into it and try to think like, I guess that we'll have to gamble on this being a good Canadian team this year because the ratings won't be there if they don't make the final. So it's always very interesting. I do appreciate that, like, there's like 60-year-old men who are tweeting death threats at 17-year-olds because they lost a hockey game over in Sweden. Well, these people weren't even awake. Like, people in Canada are fucked about hockey. It is like mind-bending how weird people get about it, and it makes me very uncomfortable. Hockey in general, hockey culture is very, very uncomfortable unless you're like, one of the people who's 100% in drinking all the Kool-Aid. You take one little step back and you're like, man, really weird stuff and like weird mindset that goes around it. I'm sure that whatever the national sport is, the most popular sport in any country, has a very similar culture to that. It's really bizarre to me. Anyway, Alex says, we are back. Woo! I'm catching up on all these ones. Smash the like while you're here. Share the show around. Stoke Golf is back. Join the one and done, by the way, if you got some stuff. Can anyone explain the new Dynasty rewards? No. I mean, Tambo tried to. I think he actually read it, so you can ask him, I suppose. Pat Mayo one and done tourney is the best one out there. Thanks, Alex Hahn. I appreciate that. There's other one-and-dones that have popped up after the success of ours over the years, but you want the name brand. The race for the Mayo Cup, $800,000 guaranteed in this prize pool. There's no resizing if it doesn't fill. Like, that money's there either way, because that's the sort of backup that they have for me in this situation, that they're going to put up that money because you, the good people out there, wanted a tournament like this. I organized it with them. I made them put up the money, and you guys delivered by filling it every single year. So I'm actually at the point now where I obviously want to make it $1 million guaranteed contest. That would be amazing. It'd be $100,000 for first prize for a one-and-done contest that Esser used to track on his Excel sheet with like 27 of us back in 2014. It's crazy to think about. This is how far it's grown. But now I wonder is like, in order to get to $1 million guaranteed in the prize pool, because they take their rake, obviously they're the ones putting up the liability, putting it on. It would be illegal. I mean, they had to go register in each of these states in order to do everything. That's why it's not available in Michigan or Ontario, because they have to comply with fantasy sports law in that context. But the biggest thing would be if we increase the fee to $250 next year, we'd get to $1 million without having to increase the prize pool. We could stick it with 4,440 people instead of 200. It would be $250 per entry, and we'd have $1 million guaranteed in the prize pool. Other than that, I don't know if 200 is the limit for everyone, because I saw some people saying they couldn't afford to play in it this year. I mean, listen, if you couldn't afford the $200 to play this year, you couldn't have afforded the $125 to play last year. Like, it's $5 a week. Now it's $6 a week. If you think about it in that context, and I understand it's right after the holidays, money's tight for a lot of people, but this isn't how you should be spending your money if you can't afford it. Like, winning the Pat Mayo one and done is very, very difficult. It should be, an entertainment expense, the way that you should think about it. So realistically, over the course of 7-8 months, at the $75 bump to $200 shouldn't make that much of a difference. And listen, if we go to 250, I don't know if that would dissuade people from playing or not, but I do know that if we do go to 250, it's $1 million guaranteed. Like I said, I'm looking for a new contract right now. When I go, that's been one of my biggest selling points. The DraftKings Listeners League, filling that every week, thanks to you good people, and filling this contest. Being like, hey, we can we can put up $1 million and Pat can go fill a contest for us. That's very valuable to a lot of places that are out there. So thank you for all of that. That's why I'm going to give away one of these free entries. What's the diet? The diet is just basically just cleaning up my diet. I bought a scale, and I'm just weighing all my food. Because I brought it up. I just sent this to Davis because I'm doing the take cast next week. I can't bring it up on the screen. But my wife got me a treadmill for Christmas last year, and I burned, and it's not the most accurate in terms of the calories, but even if you take 75% of it, I just do it watching sports, or just like when I'm bored, I watch Veep and like walk on the treadmill just to get moving throughout the course of the day. But last year I did 770 miles on the treadmill, and my estimated calorie burn was 120,000 calories. Now I'd probably take like 75% of that to get a more accurate reading. A lot of it's like interval training, like sprinting, then walking, uphill running. And sometimes once a week I try to burn I try to run at 7.5 for an hour straight and burn out 7 miles like that just to keep my cardio endurance up. Anyway, I burned a lot of calories last year. I averaged like 12,000 steps per day. I played like 50 rounds of golf, and I walked them all. And I thought I was keeping my diet pretty good, but I ended up gaining weight. I did a lot of lifting, so that's helpful. Like, I gained a lot of muscle throughout the course of the year, especially once football started. My diet kind of went the other way, but I couldn't figure out like why I wasn't dropping pounds when I was trying to by sticking to around 2,000 calories a day, that kind of thing, plus exercising. And as I explained on the Spread Pick show, that I was letting my son butter my English muffin and my piece of toast in the morning, and he was putting on like 200 to 300 calories worth of margarine, and I just never really thought about it. So when I bought the scale and started measuring everything out, I was like, oh my God, there's more calories in the margarine that he's putting on this piece of toast than there is in the rest of the breakfast. And it turns out that added up to like 60 to 70,000 calories over the course of a year of me doing it, just over 300 days. I didn't even take the entire year because I didn't eat it every single day. But that was just kind of like my stock go-to for breakfast. So I kind of changed that up a little bit. I'm just kind of keeping a journal, weighing out all my food. And I find just the accountability of writing down and weighing things, it takes you longer to make things. So you're not impulsively, like just having to go take a snack, look at the back of it, think about how much you're going to eat, go write it in your journal. By the time you get to the journal to write that down, the impulse eating goes away because you've had like a minute to reflect on like, do I really need to eat this like random bag of chips that was left over from Halloween 3 months ago? And just, I'll save the calories here. Just stuff like that. I was really just trying to beat out the late night snacking in my life and clean up my diet. So I'm just aiming for around 1,500 calories a day. If I get up to 2,000, no big deal. But I've had to supplement in, like I'm taking protein powder now with a drink because I'm still exercising throughout the course of the day. Protein fills you up. And I still want to lift heavy, and I still need to be able to hit my requirement for protein in that because I don't want to be just getting weak all of a sudden. And I want to be able to lift those heavy weights. And without the protein, that's going to be very difficult to do. At least that's the way that I'm approaching it. I think that many people would do it different ways, but just buying a scale and holding myself accountable by writing things down has made it infinitely more easy. And I'm drinking like 250 ounces of water every day, and I keep going to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom like 16 times yesterday. It was horrible. But I guess it's flushing me out. It's not so bad today, although I'm still drinking coffee at the same time. Let's see. Pat, you said you don't have a favorite NFL team. It's not even a fucking question. What are you, a moron? Don't know how to ask a question? Jesus Christ. Get a fucking brain, pal. Who is Cuss picked this week? Well, I am not going to spoil that. You need to tune into the Spread Pick show, which was released last night. And he will tell you the two guys that he likes. That Finau bet is to win any tourney this season, right? No, it's to win Mexico. I mean, I bet him to win this week. That other bet that would be an amazing bet if you could bet him 18-1 to win any tournament. No, it was 18-1 to win the Mexico Open. Can I hypothetically claim the Mayo Cup if my Sony Open pick loses in devastating fashion? I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do that. Could you please explain the one and done? Is it a contest? Yes, it is. FantasyGolfChampionships.com, $200 per entry. You can have up to 5 entries. It's super easy. Starting at the Sony Open next week, you pick one golfer per week. Whatever money they earn in that tournament, it's a 1v1. You trade your dollars in for fantasy points. So every dollar is fantasy points. If they win $7 million, you get 7 million fantasy points. Problem is, you can only use that golfer once throughout the course of the season. That's it. You can set up a text alert on the site. It will text you if you haven't made your pick. If you're someone who is very forgetful, you can spend as much or as little time as possible making your picks every single week. I have actually a call with my dad because we're splitting a team. We have it scheduled for Wednesday evening now, and he was like bummed it didn't start this week. So I might call him just talk about golf anyway, because he seems to get super excited about it. I honestly, I know Tambo's doing well with his dad. I've heard from a lot of people, even before I did it independently. I didn't know Tambo was doing it. Now I know that, and a lot of you reached out to me and said, you also do it with, someone said they do it with their mom, they do it with their cousin, like a family member, and maybe it's just because they live in one of those, Ontario, Michigan illegal places to play, and they got those people to sign up for them. I don't know. But it is a fun way to keep the conversation going. And if you like talking about golf, then boom, Bob's your uncle with that one. Who are your top 3 breakout players for the PGA season? Okay, these aren't good questions. Jared, you're not winning the free entry. Bad question. I have an entire show coming out Friday. I have best bets coming tomorrow. Friday. I've been talking about this on the show all week. Jeff and I's season preview drops on Friday this week. Our year in review came out last week. All stuff you can go check out. All right. This guy is giving it away. Dennis Rodman, you're banned for life. That's too bad. Don't be giving away stuff. You don't answer other people's question in the chat. It's not how you do it. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Giving it away. Giving away cuss picks. I can't have that. That's outrageous. I need to force people to watch the show. We hide the Easter eggs in it so people have to watch it. Don't need you out here spoiling the whole fucking thing, you piece of shit. So you also do not win the free entry. Maybe that's what I'll do. People ask so many bad questions throughout the entire time. I'll disqualify everyone until there's one person left and you can win. Let's see. Live Pat, how do we feel about Akshay this week? Went through it with James on DraftKings. Really like Akshay this week. If he's in the player pool, obviously. Thoughts on Spieth? I'm off of Spieth. Everyone seems to be on Spieth. Not entirely sure why. I guess he showed something at the Hero. Obviously, he's won here before. But no, not for me right now. Obviously, he can win. But do you like the Todd Father? Nope. Never really liked the Todd Father. When was the last time the Todd Father was good, by the way? Now I need to go look this up. Brennan Todd, $6,900 on the old DraftKings this week. The approach play has been better. I guess he was okay at the Fortinet, but he gained almost 10 strokes putting. If he doesn't gain, if you're going to gain 7 strokes putting and 6.6 and 9.3, and you're playing in a field of scrubs and you still can't win, because we're talking about John Deere, the Wyndham, and the Fortinet, how are you possibly going to win this tournament? Seems impossible. You would have to gain 14 strokes putting or something like that. The last time he has this one at the Travelers where weirdly, and that's in 2 rounds, he actually missed the cut, where he gained 4.2 strokes on approach. He hasn't gained over 3 outside of that one tournament since the CJ Cup in 2022. So it hasn't been as rosy for Brennan Todd. He gets by with it because he is an excellent putter. He can have those spike weeks, but they're not translating into wins. So you're basically betting that a $6,900 Brennan Todd gains 10 strokes putting and comes in 6th in this tournament. Like, that's not the path that I want to take. Pat, newer to golf betting. Is betting, let's say, 5 top 20 finishes and 1 or 2 top 5s as opposed, let's say 5 top 20 finishes and 1 or 2 top 5s as opposed to a winner minus EV. No, maybe this is something that we'll cover because I'm going to do a show with Byron, the Model Maniac, about some of these markets and where the best places are to bet some of these markets. But by and large, outright betting is the most minus EV thing you can do. So betting people to win. The top 20 markets, by and large, have always been pretty positive EV, especially when you start picking the right sites, whether there's dead heat rules with better odds, no dead heat rules with slightly worse odds, somewhere in the middle. That's something that you'll have to have a preference to, and Byron will be able to talk you through where the best places to do all those things are. But I think if you are in the market to actually make money and not just do this for entertainment like Jeff and I do, because we want to hit like a 40-1 winner, which, we never do. I mean, I never do. He actually does. Some of you do, but I don't, and just waste your money every week. If you actually want to make this a sustainable ecosystem for yourself in betting, stick to top 20s, top 40s, head-to-head matchups, daily head-to-head matchups, stuff with just lower variance and things that are more coin flippy rather than just trying to take, something where 8 different things need to go right just for you to have a chance. Thoughts on Hideki this week? I really have none. That probably makes him a great pivot play. Just nothing. Never really popped into my mind. The numbers didn't do anything for me. The course history, he was great like 6 years ago at this course. The past few times he's been bad. So yeah, nothing for me. Is Seamus the ultimate pivot play in the 6K range? Maybe. Maybe he is. I don't know. Who's your cousin? Riley Kidney is my cousin. He had like 5 points last week. So finally got it started turning around. I was talking to him, and because he was struggling in his first season because he just turned 20. So he's playing in the AHL. He's playing against like legit men, like 35-year-old, like 15-year pro grinders. He's just like, yeah, the adjustment was a bit weird for like the first month, just like being smaller, not being like a fully grown man yet. Against he's like, when you're 35, you fill out a little bit more. You have that old man strength, and these people have been pros for a long time. So just the physicality adjustment from going to like the Q to playing in the AHL was a big leap. But now he's just like acclimated to it, and he's fucking crushing it. So I'm proud of the guy. So hopefully you can see him up on the Canadian soon. That will turn me into a Habs fan, and there I would finally have something to root with Tim with because he's a Habs fan. But I'll just root wherever he's playing, so I'm going to root for him. Pat, new to golf betting. Finau, Theegala, or Fleetwood and Moore? I mean, fewer people are going to have Fleetwood and Moore. I would prefer, Theegala is just going to be super. We can take a look at that. I think that Theegala is going to be super popular this week. Oh, there's the back end of that. Let's see. Share the show around, by the way. Continue to do that. Smash the like, sub to the channel, all that fun stuff. And I'm still looking for a way. If you come up with the best idea for me to give you the one and done, then we'll do it. And we're doing Ask Me Anything. It doesn't just need to be golf. You can ask me whatever it is that you want. I got time. Like I said, I'm killing time over here. What are we doing? Ownership projections. You can always find these in real time, fantasynational.com. This tournament doesn't start until 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday because it's obviously on Hawaii time. So let's see here. So yeah, Scheffler is caught up. Scheffler's going to be super owned. Oh, good for Rory. People are still generating lineups with him. So Victor is down. Victor, Wyndham Clark, and Brian Harman, even Fitzpatrick at this point, along with Hatton, all seem to be coming in lower owned. So the casual starts are going to be Scotty, Xander, Scotty, Homa, Scotty, Morikawa, or probably Xander, Homa, Morikawa. I can see that a lot. You see Aubert at 22%. There's Finau. He's starting to creep up. So the pivot off of Finau, if you want to do it, is literally anyone around him at this point. You got Day, Burns, and Sungjae are all right there. Henley's coming in hot. Theegala's fallen down. Okay. So Theegala, when I checked this earlier, was coming up. But at 13%, even if he ends up at like 20%, I don't hate that as much. But in this range, you can see I played Rose, I played Connors, and Kurt Kitayama. Those were my 3 guys. So I didn't play any Theegala outside of what I did in building the lineups on the show with James to go through it. So that was my take. I thought he was going to be higher owned than that. I like Theegala, as Sky pointed out that he's very similar to Spieth in a lot of ways. So anyway, that's I can't play everyone, although I am playing a lot of people. But it's a 59-man field this time around. Let's see. Do you feel like the Chicago kid, Windy C, is overpriced at $9,600? Probably not. Maybe he is. I think that Morikawa is objectively a better player than he is, but the results last year would tell you that is yet the case. So I think it's an interesting spot. I'm playing Wyndham Clark because I think that people perceive him as being overpriced, but that doesn't really matter, especially in a 59-man field. You're looking for different paths. So if you want to play Scheffler, and you know that Scheffler is going to be super highly owned, or Morikawa or Homa, one of those guys, or Xander, like two of those guys, pairing one of them with Wyndham Clark or Matthew Fitzpatrick instead, I think is probably a better move if that's the way that you want to roll that out, because I think that he's just as live as anyone else. He popped up on that Detroit chart too, so why not, right? You think Camillo has a chance to get the win on his birthday? No. Always seemed like a guy to go on an island resort course. I agree with you. I do like him on island resort courses. I don't necessarily think he's going to be bad. He's not beating anyone good in these tournaments. I mean, he just won for the first time in, 10 years, and he beat a bunch of scrubs. I don't know. No thanks on Camillo in terms of a win this week. That seems like a very big ask, put it that way, for Camillo Villegas. A bunch of ways to get in the one and done. You can just buy a spot for $200 at fantasygolfchampionships.com. That info is down in the description. If you do buy a spot and you tweet it to me at the PME, send me a screenshot of it, you will be in a draw for another entry, this time for free. And if you are here watching, you're a loyalist, you're killing some time, you can keep YouTube open, watch it along, and go subscribe. Turn on auto downloads. That's the key part there. Rate and review 5 stars the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. That will get you a draw each, or a ballot each, into a draw for another free entry into the one and done. We need to really boost those up. This is the best month of the year for me in terms of traffic, in terms of download, as crazy as that may seem. But the mix of football, all my big football shows stay around and all my big golf shows come back, and boom, we got content like 7 days a week coming at you in January. So it's a very, very fun time. So if you could help us out and give us a little bit more fuel for that rocket ship, it'd be very much appreciated. And listen, there could be a one and done spot in there for you. Pat, you said you don't have a favorite NFL team. Didn't I already read that one? I don't have an NFL team. That's not a question. That's just a statement. Yes, I did say that. Thank you for listening. Great. Who's your favorite golfer? Why is it Brooks Koepka? It's not. These are fucking terrible questions. This guy's fucking banned for life. Fuck you, pal. You also don't win. Congrats on 10 years. 10 years of video. The show has been around since 2010, so it's 14 years of the Pat Mayo Experience. But my first video show was with Seeley in December of 2014. Yeah, so this will be going into the 10th years, but it'll be like the 15th year, technically, of the podcast. Pat, would you take over-under on a live golfer winning 0.5 golf tournaments this year? Well, yeah, they play live, so one of them's going to win, I would think. Super easy. Pat Mayo, the Godfather. Love that you keep grinding out the content for the people. Boom. We got you, Blake. Rookie golf better here. My card is currently... Oh, that jumped on me. Where did that go? Rookie golf better. Okay, my card is currently Tom Kim, Xander, and Eric Cole, 5 places, and Morikawa. Is that a balance card? Any suggestions for me in the future? I mean, I'm probably not the one you want to be taking like how to structure your card with type stuff, but the way that I would think about it is, let's say you bet everything to be the same on this. And let's just try to make everything super easy. And I'll bring out my calculatrice right here. Let's say you want to win $2,000 or $2,500 on every guy. Actually, let's just make it $1,000. That probably makes things a little bit easier. So to win $1,000 on if one of your guys wins, here's what you have to do. You need to divide by Morikawa at 16 is a nice number. So you'd have to bet $62.50 on Morikawa. You'd have to bet less than that for Xander. You'd have to bet $55.56 on Xander in order to win at 18-1. Tom Kim, you would have to bet, divided by 25, $40 on Tom Kim. And for Eric Cole, if I assume at the 5 places you get 1/4 the odds, this becomes a little bit trickier to do, because you have to double your bet on something like 60-1. But let's say, I think it'd be like 800-200 split. And is that 1/4? Yeah. So 800 divided by 60 is 13. 33 times 2 is 2666. So total, you would have to put up, let me add all this together. This is thrilling content, I know. But this is always the way that I try to think through it when I'm making my cards. plus 40. So essentially, you're wagering $184.73 to win 1,000 is the way that you need to look at this. Is that, that's what, just over 5 times your money? And you have an extra out that if one of your guys wins and Cole comes inside the top 5, then you win extra money on top of that. Not a ton. You'd win, what, $200 on that? Let's see here. What did I say you're betting on him? Be 60 divided by 4 times 13. Yeah, you win like an extra $200 on that. So, I mean, you could potentially win 1,200, but you're trying to win 1,000 would be the way that you're trying to look at it overall. So you have 1,000 divided by 184.73, and you get 5.4 times your money. I mean, that's pretty good. I try to aim for, some weeks it's going to be different depending on who you like. But if anyone thinks that card is overloaded, I would say that they're wrong because you didn't also bet like 7 other guys that are 125 to 1 and just waste money down the board. You're getting over 5 times your money on your investment. Some people like to do that. And some people do less and bet bigger favorites all the time. There's no real key answer, but I do think that's the range you should be shooting for, anywhere between like 5 to 8 to 1 realistically for your card. Because if you hit one winner every 5 weeks, you will break even. You do a little bit. Actually, at this, that's why I try to do it like 6 to 7 to 1 because I hit winners for less frequently. But if you can get it to like 6 to 1, every 6 weeks you need to hit a winner to break even. You hit 2 in that span, you're good to go. And that covers you for 12 weeks throughout the course of the year. That's how you can have a sustainable ecosystem, but you have to be very good at your bankroll management with that kind of thing. Hopefully that made sense and isn't completely wrong. Mike Baxter here. What up, Mike? I picked up boxing last year. Looking forward to keep it going more times this week. I would love to get into something like that, like boxing. People do CrossFit. I feel like I would be good at CrossFit and I would like it, but I just can't be a CrossFit guy because I am weird like that. But boxing, I could see it. Just be awesome cardio. I used to play squash with my buddy all the time in college, and when I moved out with him in Calgary, when I first started doing my blog in 2009, he's like, "You need to get the fuck out of Dodge. You don't have a job. Just come live with me." He's like, he's a chemical engineer. He owned a place at like 23 out in Calgary, a nice condo. He's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty bored out here, and I go to camp once a week, like for 7 days at a time. You just live here if you want to." I was like, "All right." So that's when I started my blog and did everything. We used to play squash all the time, and that was awesome cardio. If you can somehow link cardio to something you enjoy doing, it's really easy. Like I run on a treadmill, and sports basically has to be on TV, or I can't do anything on the treadmill because it is fucking boring the whole time. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Does anyone think I should throw this up on the podcast feed? You let me know that. When are you doing the golf draft with everyone? Now, we're not doing the golf draft with everyone. And no, Dennis, I didn't ban you for life. I was just kidding. I'm in a pretty good mood today. I wanted to do it, but just where everything over the holidays got truncated because I had to continue to do football content. We lost a day, had to push everything forward. Then just no one was available in order to do it. And golf didn't have that like weird, because New Year's was on, what was it, a Monday this year, New Year's Day, that it was like business as usual with like a regular week. You didn't get the golf starts on what, the 4th? It doesn't start on like the 9th or something like that, where then we would have time to record the draft, get it out. Just never made sense. And I couldn't get Rick in order to host it this year either. So he's been kind of away. I found it so helpful for cardio. Way more exciting than treadmill stuff. Exactly, Mike. Like, yeah, whatever it is that you're doing. 770 miles, 120 calories. You, sir, deserve the free entry into the one and done. Because if you can't give it to yourself, you should give it to me as a secondary entry. Slick Rick is the leader in the clubhouse. I like this. Slick Rick's had some good comments today. Unlike those other people who are the fucking worst. So far, so good. How does this golf challenge work? Similar to FFPC. I don't know what the fuck the FFPC playoff challenge is. That sounds like something for boomers. Just, you pick one guy per week. It's super fucking easy. Match key live players for the right majors. Interesting thought. For one and done, that is not a new thought. That's exactly what people did last year. And unless you use Brooks, it was a fucking disaster. Listen, those are the only times you're going to be able to use them. So obviously they have to come into your purview in terms of selecting them. But I wouldn't be like, oh man, I won't use this other guy because I got to use Dustin Johnson at the PGA Championship. Nah. Doesn't work that way. Latest win looks like slight PM/AM advantage with only 60 players. Are you even worried about a wave stack? Well, sir, let's talk about the weather for a second. I can bring this up. If you're ever wondering how I find everything, you can see, I Googled Windfinder, Kapalua Golf. So we go over You can see that's where the course is. It's on Maui, as you can kind of see. There you go. You're in Hawaii. So it's on the very tip up here of Hawaii. If you go to windfinder.com, there is also a map feature. So you just kind of eyeball where it is. So the course is actually like right here. Unfortunately for us, there's Kapalua. The course seems to be like right here on the water. So, I mean, this is what? If we're looking at it, it's like 2 miles away, this wind tower. This is the closest wind tower. We go to the forecast. We can try to see what is going on. And it doesn't really seem to be much, to tell you the truth. Wind, a high of 10 for Thursday. Like, there's no difference there whatsoever. And as Slick Rick pointed out, it's only 59 players going off in groups of 3, I believe, for the first 2 days, at least maybe all day. So it's truncated anyway. I think they are very, very scared about this going into overtime because we've seen so many tournaments early and late in the year roll over and not be able to get completed in one day. I think there will be a concerted effort throughout the course of the year to get all this done. It looks like it's going to be a little bit windy Friday. I mean, up to 15, like that's nothing. I don't sweat 15 miles per hour a little bit in the afternoon when the very last guys are going in. Saturday, it's kind of the same thing, and there's nothing on Sunday. So overall, I would say that this is what we're looking at in terms of everything being great for this weekend. Like pure birdie fest. Doesn't seem like the elements are going to play a factor whatsoever. And you can always go to fantasynational.com/Mayo, by the way, if you want that 20% off. I recommend the annual. And Moose actually texted me today because I was asking him about that thing that I've been teasing. I was like, is that ready yet? And he's like, well, the developers say it's going to be done by the end of the month. He's like, but I've been working on some like new tools for the site itself when they might get dropped earlier. So I was like, all right, Moose, killing it. So very happy with how some of this is turning in. I think people are really going to like some of the changes to the site. But if you ever want to see like what your players are doing, their tee times are up here as well. These are all local times, obviously. 7:45 a.m. Morikawa is going out Hawaii time. But once those get released by the tournament itself, they get imported into Fantasy National through an API feed, and we'll start to go next to. So if you ever do want to play the wave splits like he was talking about, you can do it this way if you want to. Let's get to some more questions here. This is fun. I like this chat. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Smash the like if you're here. Share it around. Sub to the channel. All that fun stuff. Rate and review the audio podcast. Sub to the newsletter. Play in the Listeners League. Always a fun time. All right. Sometimes when you really enjoy something, say golf doesn't also appreciate the evolution of our own dedication or energy put towards it. How do you keep endurance for something you love as it changes? I have no idea how to answer that. I like golf. I like watching golf. I like betting on golf. That hasn't changed for me. So I keep doing it. Is the one and done contest open to USA? Only open to USA. No, it's USA and Canada. However, it's not everywhere in the USA based on laws, and it's not in Ontario in Canada based on laws. And it's obviously not available to our friends in Europe. However, if you can make a friend in one of the legal places and they sign up for you, well, you can make your picks from anywhere in the world that you want to. So if you're comfortable sharing a screen name and making a dummy password and depositing like $200 onto the site, and then you can change the password back afterwards. If it's someone you trust, maybe they can get you in the tournament. It's what I do when I go to Vegas for DraftKings lineups. I enter all of my DraftKings lineups here. I register for the contest. Early in the week. I usually leave on a Monday. Like I usually go during the week of Riv. I'm not going this year, but the week of Riv, I fly out Monday afternoon. So I register for all the tournaments I want to play in. Then I get to Vegas on by Wednesday morning, I make my lineups and I put them in those contests. You can make the lineups. You can make the picks from anywhere. It's actually registering in the contest that is the difficult part. Spieth got those new wedges. I hopefully got the Kirkland ones. I heard those are good at Costco. What are your thoughts on how the PGA set up designated events this year? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I like big fields. I like cut events. I think that no cut events are for simple people, and I really don't like them. You want to earn your money? Go fucking earn your money and play well. You shouldn't just get money for showing up. I don't like that at all. And it makes betting and DFS obviously very, very worse. It does not make it as enjoyable at that time. In one and done, do you like hanging on to top golfers for majors, or should I live in the moment and take a win if I feel like it's staring me in the face? I would just use the guys while they're healthy and playing well. Because that doesn't always end up being the case for everyone who saved Zalatoris and saved Justin Thomas towards the end of last year when he was absolute dog shit by the end of the year. Like, just use your guys. In or out on Corey Connors this week with the Augusta comp. It's not an Augusta. Okay, I really have to stop saying that because it's not an Augusta comp. It's just the layout tends to be similar in terms of elevation and lies. The green complexes are so much different. And really, that's where Corey Conners hits his irons well basically everywhere in the world. But it's whatever he's able to do at Augusta, chipping and putting, that he literally cannot do anywhere else. That is the separator for him. He doesn't putt himself out of tournaments. So I like Corey Conners. I'm playing him in my DraftKings lineup, but just because he's good there doesn't necessarily mean it. Pat, have you told potential suitors for your next contract that no one in DFS, betting, or the fantasy space is as synonymous with a fantasy sport as Pat freaking Mayo? Yes, that is actually one of the biggest pitches. Like if some other site wanted to start running a listeners league for DFS and revamp their DFS product, would people go and play there? Well, I wouldn't guarantee that everyone who's watching the show or plays in the listeners league every single week would go over and play, but I bet you a lot of people would. Especially if I change my show about that product instead of this product. Who knows? What are your goals in DFS and betting this year? Not to lose a ton of money? I mean, I wouldn't play as much DraftKings or DFS if I didn't do a show and had to actively talk about it all the time. I just wouldn't. I'd probably play in my listeners league and play like $100 entry. Doing content makes you feel like you have more of an advantage because you talk to really smart people all the time about their strategies and their methods. And, I'd feel like I was somewhat disingenuous if I didn't bet as hard as I did or play. I mean, like I don't play DFS as hard as a lot of people in the space, like James or Tambo or Raza or whoever it may be, but I'm, also not playing for 50 cents a week either. So I've always tried to find that happy medium in between. And I usually bet a lot more money than I do play in DFS. So I split it up that way as well. But my goal is just not to lose a ton of money. Like I make money breaking even at DFS because I talk about DFS. I get content out of DFS. I would like to win. That would be my goal, to win as much money as possible. But I know myself well enough. I've won in golf each of the past. No, I didn't win in golf last year, but I ended up winning like 10K threw back like 2. So I won like 8K in football this year. I won a bunch of money in football and golf last year because I won my listeners league at the Wyndham. That really helped out. And I ended up having like 3 5-figure cashes and for whatever, basically since Run the Sims came into existence, almost like when Fantasy National made me a better golf bettor and DFS player overall because I had the tools at my disposal to help me both research and generate lineups. Since Run the Sims became a product that I co-founded with Justin and we started it, I wouldn't say I've printed money, but every NFL season has been really, really good for me. This year, I made $8,000 profit in DraftKings NFL, and like the past 2 years, it was like 15,000 or 16,000. And the only reason I know this is because I have a DraftKings account. It has to be a USD funds account because that's how you get paid out. And I made it in a Canadian bank so I can monitor very easily the money that goes in and out of it. I have one for football and one for golf because for our 40th birthdays, I'm trying to get like 12 of us to do a 10-day trip in Scotland and to play golf at all of the great courses. And it's not cheap. So I know that was sort of my savings account. How much I won on DraftKings playing daily fantasy was going to be how I paid for that. And if I actually won a little bit more, and like that, we have a friend or two that most of our friends can afford to go. They're doing like pretty well in life at 40, but we do have a couple of friends who would want to go that maybe can't afford it. That, we have an alternate pot between a few of us that, we're throwing into there every once in a while, where it's still like a year and a half away. We ended up putting like 10 grand in like a 5% GIC or something like that we can take the money out of when we need it. Now, some investment guy is doing it. I just gave him the money to do it. He's one of our friends. He can make this money grow a lot better than us, that hopefully we can subsidize some of the people that might not be on just all by themselves. It's not they couldn't afford to go. They could save, they could scrimp, and they can give up things throughout the course of their year. But, this way, if, we can put money away and it can grow it. And, if we won the money gambling anyway, it's all just gambling winnings, whatever it might be. We put it into account with our one guy who's he's in finance. So hopefully he's decent enough. He seems to make a lot of money. He has a lot of money. So hopefully he's good at making this grow, that we can grow out that pot as well. Maybe even return our money to us by the end of it, because there's so much money made off investments in that account that we can help subsidize anyone. But the money is in there to help subsidize some of our friends that we want to go that wouldn't allow themselves necessarily to spend the money because, maybe they're on the brink of either just being able to afford it, not being able to afford it. And we want everyone to be able to go. And if you're in a position to be able to do that, helping people's a lot of fun. That's why I like helping people get into the one and done. That guy is still the leader in the clubhouse, by the way. Any love for Poston this week? Not really. I know that James liked him, so James is smarter than me, so that's the one. Thoughts on EV for golf pick'ems, considering I live in a no betting It's tough to get an EV golf pick. The new DraftKings one, the pick 6, I haven't really done anything with it, but I know that you're playing against other people, so maybe that's a little bit more positive EV. Oh, if you want to try it out, code DOP for Dogger Pass Podcast, the UFC podcast, which is dropping later tonight. We'll get you a $100 deposit match at Prize Picks if you want to check it out. I haven't looked at Prize Picks today, but if there's, I suppose I could go look at that. Let me see here. Prize Picks. Let's check out the Prize Picks board. I don't know if I'm logged in on this computer. That's why I say that. Prizepicks.com. Yeah, let's go to that. Let's see if we can log in. Oh, my password's saved. That's good news. All right, let's see what we got here for golf. Anything good for golf? I know Rick was on top of this. I think he was tweeting out underdog stuff. Where's fairways? Greens and regulation? This is pretty good. Over 15.5. Like, basically, you're fading the par 3s. Because this course is so easy. And the greens are so massive. Like, I wonder if we go to... Let's see here. Can we... That's the one thing about this. Let's see. Kapalua. Who played in this last year? I guess if I sort by the top, that probably makes it easier. So we'll go to Scheffler. And we'll go to the Sentry Tournament of Champions. Where are we at here? Sentry. Take a look at the green and regulation percentage from last year. See, we always do it by gain because that helps you out. Green and regulations gained, but I don't have the baseline for that, unfortunately. JJ Spawn was the leader in the clubhouse. Maybe pgatour.com. Take a look at last year's tournament. I honestly have not used this site in so long that... Oh, God, pgatour.com's with me. Everyone's on Morikawa this week. Dude's going to be like 90% owned on DraftKings. I wonder if I can get the leaderboard last year. pgatour.com. 2023 Tournament of Champions. That's almost how you spell that. And I want to do leaderboard. See if that churns anything up. That is last year's leaderboard. All right, that's a pretty decent start. More players. I want to see the full leaderboard, though. Okay, there we go. See if we can find... All right, so it is showing us last year. Stupid. Oh, I can't believe I have to revisit this again. I watched it the other day. I always like that's another thing that I do on the treadmill. I watch the last 3 years worth of the highlights from each round for each of the tournaments, and was it brutal. So what did Rahm do at the very high end here? Let's go to stats. And we can... Why is this frozen on this page? Jesus Christ, PGAtour.com. Get it together. Greens and regulation. So he hit 84% throughout the week. So 15.5 divided by 18 is 86%. So where did Rahm come in? So he hit 85% of his greens and regulation. 86% is 15.5. So 61 divided into 72 divided by 4. Did I do that right? No, I absolutely did not do that right. Let's see. 61 divided by 4 is what I'm looking for. 61 divided by 4 means he hit 15.25 per round. So those numbers seem about right, considering when we see like who gained what, and we take a look at Rahm. Rahm was good drives gained, left void, Gers gained, so he gained 2 strokes on the field, so he was hitting a higher percentage of greens and regulation than the field was. So that's probably not the greatest bet for Prize Picks, so let's throw those ones out, all the 15, unless you want to play unders, I suppose, and just say that this guy's not going to have a very good iron week. That doesn't seem to be the best play either. Pars or better. There's not a lot of bogeys, although 7 holes end up playing over par. Like, it just goes with your lean at that point. Maybe a birdie or better matchup would be the way that you'd want to go. Like, Xander versus Hovland. Would you want to go Xander? Yeah, I probably would want to go Xander over Vic, someone who's not had a ton of success at this course in the past. Maybe Finau over Wyndham Clark in round number 1, solely because Clark has never played at this course before, and it usually takes people like a week to adjust, or a round to adjust on everything. Same as Hatton, although the Brits are really good at putting on these slower surfaces. Stroke play, and we're right around there. Birdies are better, 6.5. That's a lot of birdies for a round, even at a par 73. because it's not like you get double points if you get an eagle. So now there's nothing, at least for round 1, that I like as a part of Prize Picks there. But if there's something you saw that you like, code DOP at prizepicks.com will get you that personal match, get you that deposit match. So you deposit 100, get an extra 100. Now you have 200. Easy stuff. You should give the free... that's not a good one. What's your take on how the NFL playoffs are shaping up? I also probably forgot. What is your PGA content schedule this year? So for this week and next week, it's Sunday research, golf, pick show with Jeff on Monday, golf, and Tuesday DraftKings show for golf. I will be with Tambo next week, next Tuesday, because there's a Monday night football game for football. What we're doing for football, we're live this week, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network, me, Custin Garian, for the final live show Sunday evening of the year. But then we're changing the spread pick show after the first round of the playoffs we're going to record on Monday nights for Tuesday morning release for the spread pick show because there's that Monday night football game. We'll have all the information that we need. Then the best bet show will be on Thursday, and then Friday will be Tambo in studio for NFL DraftKings picks when we're building lineups together. So that's probably the next 3-4 weeks schedule. And then after that, I do not know as of yet. What's your handicap? I'm a 10. I went from a 17 to a 10 last year. So that's really the product of playing 3 times as much and taking lessons during the offseason, getting new clubs. So I actually had my best year ever golfing. What are some favorite courses to play? I don't know where that went. Like Wave Stack, I'm in the back end of YouTube today. Smash a like while you're here, by the way. And it keeps jumping on me. Why is the state of Michigan still living in the dark ages when it comes to certain betting? It's something to do with like internal legislation on what they consider fantasy sports, and it's a licensing fee. Basically, DraftKings and FanDuel have dummied everyone out that unless you're willing to really pay up to get your license for fantasy sports in that state, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're a smaller provider to pay the exorbitant fee in order to get into that state. That's why you see it. Any Canadian love for Svensson this week? I do not have that. It's funny because I'm playing Taylor, Hadwin, and Connors, but I'm not playing Svensson. Thoughts on EV? DK, that's how I got into... If I was in a small 200 or so one and done last year, finished near last, can you give me the free entry and I will use your advice and compare the results? I mean, that's around there. Any personal golf goals? Yeah, I want to see if I can hit 75 or better this year. I broke 80 I think 6 times last year. I'd like to be able to hit 75 at least. I don't think breaking 75, but getting to 75 would be where I want to go. What are your favorite courses to play? I mean, I don't really play all that many courses. I played Hazeltine with Moose. That was fun. I played with Rick at TPC Summerlin in Vegas once. That was really fun. I like my home course. The Cabot courses are really close to me. I played Crowbush last year. Those are all really nice. I'd like to play Pebble. I really would. Pat, what year will we see the $1 million prize pool Andercust Open? That would be amazing. A contest where you get a point for picking one golfer who will miss the cut each week. Well, it's funny you say that because I tried to launch a product along with the one and done that was basically a survivor pool for golf, but there's too many non-cut events right now. It was going to be you have to pick a player to make the cut every single week, just like you pick a player to win every single week in football or a team to win every single week, that if your person gets cut in that tournament, you're out of the pool. I always thought that would be a lot of fun. I don't think it'd be like super popular, but I think it would just be another fun way to gamify golf, which is how we end up doing. Did you end up betting Tom Kim? Well, I think there's a fucking newsletter where I released the bets to see if that was the case, or me talking at the beginning of the show. So get it through your fucking head and check out the newsletter, sub to it for free right now, and maybe read it. Okay, pal? That's what you should do. That's what I'm saying. Ooh, hot take on NFL playoffs. I think the Bills might win the Super Bowl. They also might miss the playoffs, but if they get in, I think they can beat anyone and maybe like lose to the Jags or something like that at the same time. But I think that they're one of the few teams that could go into Baltimore and beat them. Will you be attending the Tambo James meetup at the Waste Management Open? Then not the case this time around because I have my content to do from here. That is Super Bowl week, and then I have to record some stuff to put it in the can. Then my wife and I are going to Panama City and Aruba for 2 weeks. So yeah. Is there a certain website that you buy all of your sweet mini movie posters from? Yeah, I just Googled it. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like movieposters.com or something like that. They came from Britain. I actually have specialty ones at the office now. That's not these ones. They're like custom drawn from Etsy, but I'm just too lazy to put them up. Love the newsletter, but for anyone new, how can one sign up? Dollar Bill 88 knows where it's going. Well, you can go to Substack and go to the Mayo Media newsletter, free to sign up, and you can just hit the description and find it there as well. FYI, if you live in a state that restricts you into the one and done, just have someone out of state sign up and pay, and then you can log in and make the picks. I did it yesterday. See, there is a smart way to do it. Is Tim doing a one and done with his dad just so we can root against him like he does with the Dolphins? He is not, but I can attest that Cuss joined the one and done today. I talked him through it. Hi, Pat. MFK, Mrs. Kepka, Mrs. Cantley, Mrs. Bhatia. I have no idea what any of these fucking people's wives look like. Like, I really don't care about that. What's your favorite golf tournament? It's the Heritage. People who watch this show know that. You don't watch the show. You outed yourself. You're not getting the one and done ticket. How about that? You know, Slick Rick has been the best contributor to this right now. So Slick Rick, you drop your Twitter handle in the chat at the bottom. I will DM you with a spot in the one and done after. I probably should have waited till the end of the show to say that, but we've already been here an hour. You've all been waiting around to see who wins. Boom. There we go. Are you going to be doing prize picks or underdog pick'em sheets again this year? You were crushing those last year. I will be when I see an actual edge. Because, listen, prize picks isn't paying me. My deal with them expired last year. I still like everyone over at prize picks, and I got... Fuck, how much money do I have on prize picks right now? I never really checked that. I cashed out a bunch. I think I have like $3,000. Let's see. Where are we at here? Oh, yeah. $3,000. That's USD. So we're dancing over here on prize picks. So I got money to waste over on prize picks, or I can just, cash that out and throw it in that pool that I was talking about a little bit earlier. But yeah, if I do see a legitimate angle, usually the best time to get them is either at newer courses that you have scouted before. I think it's DFS, not Golf Bargains. Stephen Richter, who had a site, Fantasy Golf Metrics, when I first started it. I think he's the one who does all the algorithm. I think that it's him, or maybe it's DFS Albatross. The guy who does the algorithm and the pricing for prize picks is someone who used to do a show, who's been on my show in the past, but I can't remember exactly who it was, because like I said, the show's been around for like 10 years. I totally forget everything. But a Weather Edge is one where you can really get up on that sort of thing. I'm a Fantasy National subscriber, and I don't feel like I take full advantage of it. Is there an instructional video anywhere? Yeah, I think there's one on Mayo Media Network. What the hell? I think it's called Fantasy Golf Research. Let's see here. Fantasy Golf Research. I didn't spell fantasy or golf or research right in that search. That's going to be a tough time. Problem is, I have all of these. Well, there's 19 videos. Let's see if I can scroll through all of these. Tour Championship. Shit. I really don't remember when I did it. Is putting predictable? There's a fantasy golf strategy. That's me and Raza did that one. There is one where I did a complete walkthrough, and the Fantasy National YouTube page. I did some up there a while ago as well. Let's see. Fantasy National walkthrough? It may have been on the old DraftKings YouTube channel where I did it, but I do recall having done it before. That's not very helpful in this context, obviously, but I have done it before. If anyone can link, can find that, who has watched it before, throw it out there. I should probably try to find that. Maybe it's in DK Network 2003 Tournament of Champions. Give me a quick Google search on this. Opening odds. No, I want to put in Pat Mayo on that. Pat Mayo. Almost spelled my name correctly. That's impressive stuff. 2013. Why is it just showing videos? I don't have time to go into the back end to do this. Why can't I find this? Great. It never works out as easy as you think it's going to work out, does it? Tournament of Champions, Pat Mayo, DK Network. No, the Players Championship, that's up there. Maybe that'll work. 3M Open. So I remember I used to have it in my selection of like the menu of links at the top. Doesn't seem to be there. Oh God, page 1 of 74. I can click back through this. Archives, let's call that 7. See where that brings us to. All right. We're into week 8 tight end rankings for 2003. So we can go previous to that. DK Network just does not load fast enough for me at all. And let's see. Worldwide technology predictions. Would it be in there? No, it's not. I'm going to stop trying to look for this because this is just becoming just god-awful in terms of content. Even I know when I'm doing bad content, and this is it. Pat, if I bet Siwoo every week, will I be plus money at the end of the year? Tell Paul, go Bills. Probably. I mean, the guy wins a tournament a year, and he's usually this week he's like 90-1 or something like that. Have you ever tried a rower versus a treadmill? Yep. I hate the rower. I hate it so much. And I have a weird thing in my back of my mind that I like to stay in good enough cardiovascular and running shape that if someone told me like we're going to run a marathon right now and if you finish it under 4 hours, you could win $1 million, that I'd be able to do that without any training, without any stretching, whatever. So I don't know why that's the case, but I like to stay in, that's the type of shape that I like to stay in cardiovascular wise. But once I start like running, like I find all cardio just very tiresome, and it's easier for me to watch TV while I am running on a treadmill. So that's why I do it. Let's hit some winners this year. Boom. Do you prefer coffee or crystal meth as a pick-me-up? Well, it's not crystal meth. It's just crystal meth in the coffee. That's the way that we do it. Any thoughts on getting an edge against people who drop 150 lineups off their golf sims tool? I mean, knowing the sims would probably be very helpful in something like that. Then you know where you could pick, you pivot from pretty easily, like especially if I have no idea who is popping this week in projections, be it at, I don't know what Tambo's projections are, I don't know what ETR's projections are, whoever it is that you use, stochastics, maybe Roz's are popping a little bit more, that like, if it's telling you that like Bhatia is the play, then you probably pivot off Bhatia. That makes the most sense, at least in my mind. But Tambo is a better person for that question because I don't know. Link Calhoun. Oh, the guy who beat me in that $1,000 one and done 2 years ago. Congratulations. Hi, Pat. What do you think is a good cumulative ownership percentage range would be for DFS at the Sentry? I'm thinking 80 to 100%. I don't really have a super strong take on that because I really don't know. But if we think that, what are the top end guys going to come in at? Like 30 to 37%, more than likely. Maybe Morikawa pushes 40%. That, between 6 guys, you get 3 guys in the 30 range, you're already up to 90. Or if you get a 30, a 20, and a 20, now you're at 70. So yeah, like 90%, 80. Yeah, I guess thinking it through like that, 80 to 100%, maybe even a little bit higher would be the way to go. If it's clear and a yellow, you got juice there, fella. If it's tanning and brown, you're in cider town. I mean, Ned did teach us. Ned preached, we learned. And that was like 30 years ago now. Good day, Pat. Good luck this week. Good luck to you, too. Thoughts on Mac Hughes? 9! No, thank you, Mac Hughes. Do you log time spent sports betting, DFS, including research, etc.? I calculated my hourly earnings gambling last year, and it was $3 per hour. Betting only a hobby for me, but I feel like I was wasting my life. Well, if that's the case, I make way more money than that because I do a research show. I get paid to do that. If technically betting in DFS is a part of my job, what I get paid for, I make a lot more than $3 an hour doing that. Have loved the Sunday night shows this year. Great addition to the schedule. Do you have any interest in the DK snake draft format, or you just stick to salary cap? I try to stick to like 1 or 2 things. I think I did a few of the DK snake drafts last year, and I just kind of forgot about them. I think it's a more interesting concept as a show doing a draft rather than actually playing in one of these stupid leagues. I still don't know why they don't have season long. I tried to get best ball going this year. It didn't work out for golf. Any chance we can get Cuss to give who won't be the first round leader? You can tweet at him, see what he says. So if I had an entry and I started it this week, I'd play Svensson. Okay. I got a buddy into your one and done a few years ago. He got his dad into it. It's always a great time. Definitely need to win this year considering I have a new roof on my house to pay for. Well, I would think that $80,000 minus taxes would end up paying for most of that. All right. Thanks for all the content. Been on board for years. Thank you. Can't beat y'all's content, and we appreciate you and the time you put in. The first time I went to Texas, I was in the 10th grade. So I would have been, 15 years old. I flew to my uncle, who was like 8 years older than me. So he was basically my older brother. He moved to Dallas, and I went to go visit him because fully loaded 2000. Maybe it was 99. The wrestling pay-per-view where Rikishi jumped off the cage and crushed Val Venus. I remember that very vividly at the American Airlines Center. So I went there to go see the pay-per-view, and we were both standing in line. He had just got to Dallas probably about a month before. I forget where we were, but he was in a line for something. And it was the first time anyone dropped a y'all. And I always thought that y'all meant you all, like multiple people, but they kept calling like individuals y'all, and we both just talked about it for like 8 hours and found it very confusing. Like I would be ordering something at McDonald's for myself, and be like, "Is that it for y'all?" And I like looked behind me, like I thought that they thought that there was someone else with me, and they were also making an order. I was like, "No, it's just for me." I know that sounds really stupid, but that's in our brains, that's how it works. It's a very unconventional way of talking. Bizarre. Anyway, good on it. Newsletter, best thing out there. Boom. Aruba is awesome. Have a fun time. Why do I have a problem finding mass reserve for a DK contest? I want a mass reserve, but there's no option on my screen. I usually just do it and I don't usually mass reserve, so I actually don't know. I just reserve it for my contest, and it's 3 entries, so it's super easy. I know. Again, Tambo question, not mine. At Slick Rick, make it count. I don't see Slick Rick. Fantasy National has its own channel with some videos. Yes, they do, because I made them. I remember that. And there's other ones out there. Slick Rick, if you have, I'm going to give it to you. Have you seen Ironclaw yet? No. If you have a Twitter handle or an Instagram handle, let me know so I can send you this free entry. That's your vid from the mixed condition model. I don't remember what that is. Did someone drop it in? I don't see it. Anyway, if someone finds it, we can tweet that out. What else? How come you're not on DOP anymore? I haven't been on Dogger Pass podcast. I've never been on the Dogger Pass podcast. I filled in when Paul was having some problems, and he was not around, and he was on vacation, so I filled in for him. Why I'm not producing it anymore? Because I don't want to produce it. I do a lot of work, and also doing Paul's job while doing my job at the same time. And it was a good way for us to hire someone else to, it really worked out. When Paul goes on vacation now, like usually Paul has to line up his vacations with my vacations because it's hard for me to do a show if he's not here. Now we have a third body, and Megan can jump on and produce if Paul wants to take a week's vacation, which he did last year for a few bachelor parties, that we actually had someone to continue to do the shows while he was gone, because it's a 2-man operation, or a 2-person operation at least. And when there's only one, it becomes pretty difficult. Challenge 39, quick season review. I like it. Everyone else seems to hate it. I like it. My wife likes it. The only people who really seem to dislike it are the people who just hate watch the challenge at this point. Yeah, the last 3 seasons have been really bad. This season has been better than those seasons. It's not a great season, but if it's going to be a bad season, at least it's new faces. There's hooking up. It's messy. It's drama. I really like it. I wouldn't say it's my top 10 favorite seasons of all time, but it's definitely not nearly as bad as A, the internet makes it out to be, and B, any of the past 3 seasons. It's actually somewhat more exciting. So you watch Traitors or House of Villains? I binged House of Villains. Was fucking amazing. It was the best reality show in years. I watched season 1 of Traitors, and I'm getting pumped for season 2 of Traitors because it has CT, it has Bananas. I think Beth Got Cup of Trash Ale is on it, plus Parmity is on it. There's a bunch of different reality TV stars on it. Boom. I listed it. VT Sports Images. All right. Let me open up a channel with you. I have to go to my other computer where I have everything saved in terms of it. But let me go over to the old X machine right now. I'm going to send you a DM. Thank you for contributing so much to the chat. And no one ever did answer the question of whether or not I should just throw this up as a podcast on the podcast feed or not. Maybe I should. I don't know if this was interesting enough for a podcast. Maybe it's a live chat type thing. Maybe we'll make it exclusive to YouTube. I don't know. That's why you should be subscribed to the YouTube channel and set on your notifications. And if you do want to get into some of the other giveaways for the free entries into the One and Done, what I would suggest is rating, reviewing, and subscribing, and turning on those auto downloads. Rate it 5 stars. Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Do it on Apple. There's a ballot. Do it on Spotify. There's another ballot. Or if you have an entry already, screenshot it to me on Twitter. And there we go. I sent you the Paul. Your name isn't Rick at all. It's Paul. How did... photographer. That's awesome. See, these sort of things that I didn't know about the people who watch this show and what's going on. Anyway, there's just a bunch of different ways to get it. So the more like ratings and reviews you can do, I think we're sitting 4th in US right now for fantasy sports and betting podcasts. If we jack up a few more of those ratings and reviews, especially new ones, or if old ones are redone again and resubmitted, we might be able to get to number 1. Like I said, if I can show that I'm artificially getting more followers than the fantasy footballers, or at least better ratings, and ESPN shows and CBS shows, then I don't know, maybe I can do more shows and people will give me more money, because that would be amazing. Pod it. Some of the info is actionable. Always pod it live shows if it's not too much work. I have to wait for it. I'll see if I have the time to do it and get it done. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll get back into, I love talking about reality TV. We are doing a movie club, by the way. I've already recorded the episode. It's going to come out after the Super Bowl. We are watching Southland Tales, a movie that sucks, but I really, really love. It's not going to be for all of you, but it's a movie made for podcasting about. Put it that way. If you have a chance to go see it and you don't rip your eyes out watching it, it stars The Rock and Stifler and Buffy and Avon Barksdale and Amy Poehler and John Lovitz and Justin Timberlake and Mandy Moore. Come on. There we go. And we've recorded over an hour of me talking about it as well. And we can get into it. I do want to start a movie club with everyone. All of the movies aren't going to be like incredibly shitty, but this is just one that I thought was fun. So anyway, thanks for coming on the chat. I don't know if I'm going to do this every single week because I think that Tambo and I will move to Wednesdays after the Sony Open and after the Monday Night Football game for round 1 of the playoffs. But it's been a lot of fun. Sports photographer for Slick Rick. That's awesome. Sounds like a really fun job. You get to go to a bunch of things. I hate going to things, so it wouldn't be for me. But if you did like going to things, free access good access, and you have pictures of a lifetime. Do I use Letterbox? I do not use Letterbox. I do not. Anyway, smash a like, sub to the channel, tell some friends, playing the one and done, all that fun stuff. Playing the listeners league. Let's get that filled up too. All right, there's now 312 spots left or something. It's 24 hours away. Let's get that filled so I don't have to worry about that. Okay. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time. Oh, I see someone asked one more question here. Can you recommend a one and done legal in Michigan that's comparable to the $80,000 payout? Nope, because they don't exist. I will see you next time.